Hi, I'm Alex from Board Game Co.
You are not Alex. That is just because I said hello.
No, that's how
welcome.
you start.
Yeah,
right?
True, but you're not Alex.
Well, I go hello. You start with, hi, I'm Alex from Board Game Co. And thank you so much for being here. We're going to go through the price-value evaluation of this game as quickly and thoroughly as possible while we teach you how to... I can't go fast.
You know what, honestly?
I can't go fast.
Once we're here, this is Awakened Realms. This is an easy one. Should people buy this game for the value alone?
Yes.
Great, there we go. That's all you need to know.
There you are.
That's easy. Awakened Realms, when Awakened Realms put outside a game, I don't even need to be here. I'm just still here anyway.
This is not what the people are here for. First off, they want to know why there is a duck on screen. That is because I drove up to Ohio so that we could be probably the first ever content creators to have 2 Awakened Realms prototypes in the same space. I mean, I think that gets credit, if anything.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we are going to be producing this How to Play teaching video because you've spent 8 hours?
No, not that much. I'm like roughly 7 hours in. I'm about 5 hours of gameplay in, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours of getting myself taught and all that kind of stuff.
And sticking to my reputation, I'll go to whatever means necessary so I don't have to learn the game.
Yeah,
So I drove 10 hours to come make sure that you, who've spent 7 hours learning this game, could effectively and thoroughly teach me how to play. And then we're going to be producing a gameplay video.
So it's worth mentioning, this is a prototype.
I mean, debatably so.
Yeah, it's
prototype.
No. I'm referring to the fact that in that process, in that back and forth, there are a lot of small gimmicks, questions, all that, because this is a giant... the world building in this game is extreme. But you know what? Let's save all that for the review, for the gameplay.
Well, and your learn has been meeting with the designer and the publisher, along with playing through the entire available scenarios you have. So 100%. A little bit more than a learn, like a full education. Again,
sure. And to be clear, by the way, just because I don't want to scare you off, it's not that I didn't have any guided teaching whatsoever. Rather, I learned the game, and after each round, I went back with, okay, here are my questions.
Because you wanted to make sure that Quackalope got as few things wrong as possible.
As few things wrong as
The last
possible.
thing we have to note before we do this, coming out probably a little bit after this video, within the next few days, we'll let you know publicly. Subscribe so you don't miss it. On both of our channels, we're going to have 2 sections of the gameplay. Specifically on my channel, over on Quackalope, we're going to have the section that deals with the adventure, the story, diving into the planet, exploring the depths, rolling some dice.
And that's going to be the first phase we do here.
Yep, and then on yours, we're going to publish...
We're going to publish the ship phase book, which is after you go through that whole adventure, after you accomplish each mission, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the ship phase, this intimidating, giant intimidating book, and I mean it when I say I'm intimidating.
It's like a scientific journal.
I genuinely was scared when I opened this book and was like, well, we'll get to it. But the point is, I will tell you, not nearly as intimidating as I thought it would be.
It's just a save manual and a record log.
No, that's what's intimidating. The fact that you think it's just a save manual and a record log makes you think, why in the world am I going through this much maintenance?
Why do I need to save that much stuff?
Yeah, and that's the part that's intimidating. But honestly, and again, we'll get to this stuff, but going through the ship phase book, it really divides into 2 sections. There's the saving stuff, which takes 2 seconds. You slot a card, you move on. And then there's the actual sections that take time, but those are decision-making. How do I deal with a catastrophe that's going on the ship? What new things am I going to discover and put research into and production into?
What permanent boons, permanent consequences, and...
Have you ever played Mass Effect?
No.
So Mass Effect, to those who've played Mass Effect, or honestly any game in this genre with like some sort of upgrading, Oblivion, Elder Souls, Oblivion, any of that kind of stuff. I don't think it's Oblivion, Elder Souls, whatever it is, Skyrim, all that stuff. You're going to have a ton of time spent in the upgrading screens of those characters. You're going to be like, I went on a mission, and now I want to choose a power and ability, and you spend time in those screens. And that's what the ship book is. The time spent in the ship book is, and again, we'll cover it, but rest assured, I was intimidated. I'm less intimidated now. And let's get into this. Let's get into it.
And I genuinely, we decided to record this because I need to learn before we do gameplay. So I'm sitting where you are. Yeah, Alex.
He knows nothing.
What's going on?
Well, to start with, why don't you pick one of those blue base minis that you think is the best representation of your character? And I'm gonna choose this guy with the big gun.
Ooh. The first one I picked up is going to be the one that I'm going for.
Yeah,
right here.
Let me show you mine too. Good point. This is going to be mine over here.
Well, I'll show you mine on this.
Oh yeah, that's cool. 2 different. Yeah, you see, I'm not used to.
You're not used to multiple angles, right?
This is the first time on a Board Game Co video you are going to see edited video, and I'm going to be doing it all. Okay, we got some.
No, I'm doing the gameplay.
You're doing the gameplay. No. I just meant I'm editing this particular video.
Very well done.
Yeah, incredibly well done. So I'm going to go through this. It might be a bit messy. This is my first time teaching the game, not my first time playing the game. It's
my first time learning. So
I'm gonna focus on the main aspects of the things, and the rest we can go into it. I don't want to cover every little detail,
No.
and honestly, they do a fairly good job themselves at walking you through. Like other fields, they have a tutorial scenario, which we're skipping, so we're not gonna have that luxury. And then the ship book itself literally guides you through it. So we're gonna go through all of it. We'll cover all that, and let's start with the beginning. So there is going to be a landing phase. For the sake of simplicity, I'm skipping the landing phase. The landing phase represents the fact that your little lander or whatnot is heading down from ISS Vanguard or whatnot, heading down to the Earth, or not Earth, to the planet that we are exploring, and then from there you're going to have your units out.
And you can upgrade and change the type of landers you have, right?
In fact, this is the second. We'll cover that in the ship phase. So that's in the ship phase.
Awesome.
But rest assured, the Pelican is actually an upgraded lander from the original starting lander I had.
A heavy, unwieldy transport craft that was repurposed as a planetary lander. A large internal space that can be used both for cargo and for useful mods. Somewhat makes up for its poor flight characteristics and paper-thin hull. I found flavor text.
You found flavor text. It's a board game code video, not a Quackalope video. Nonetheless, so from there, you're going to start with 2 people over here, and then you want to start, the way I like to teach games is, what is your objective? What is your goal? And that is going to vary game by game. In this game, every time you go to a new planet, you're going to have a mission card and an event card. They actually go off to the side of the board here, but we don't have that space, so I'm putting them down here. We don't have the space on screen. So over here are our mission and our event cards, and the mission in this case is to gain at least 3 discoveries. The discoveries are going to be up here. These are leads, which are a different thing, but they often lead to getting discoveries.
Okay.
Oh, lead, huh? That could lead to getting discoveries.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. I genuinely didn't
Maybe they
think
should have called them leads.
Maybe they should have called them leads. That's a reasonable. I really didn't think about it until now. In any case, so you want to get 3 discoveries, at which point we're going to want to, the mission will then end either when we are all dying, which is less ideal, or when we return to the lander and lift off with our 3 discoveries. And we can do that without accomplishing the mission. There will be a consequence therein for not actually doing a mission. So that is the way the game, the gameplay ultimately plays out, the goal, the mission of the game. From there, the sequence of play is pretty simple. Each character has 2 actions, and that's it. You take your 2 actions, you draw a hazard, which represents the bad thing happening, and then the other thing you want to be mindful of is running out of supplies, because every cooperative game has to have some sort of thing opposing you. In this game, that's going to constantly be the fact that you will run out of supplies, you will have injuries happening to you, you'll have hazards that will generally have bad things happen, and all while you're trying to accomplish your goal. So this thing is getting in the way of you accomplishing your goal.
Okay.
So let's cover a turn. Turn is very basic. I'm genuinely going to just take my first turn over here. We'll reset for the actual gameplay. This will be my fictional first turn, where what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt a roll. On your turn, you either attempt a roll or you pass, which means you do nothing. So the rolls are going to be based on a variety of different options. In this case, one of the options you have is the Planetary information card, which you can always attempt a roll over there. In this case, it would be rolling a specific icon and getting a blue lead. So you know what, just for the sake of doing things, I will go ahead and do that, and I'm going to do so with my character, Babs Lowell, who after rolling, I can add one of my charges to roll 1 more. So this is his specific ability.
Now you're the engineering section.
Engineering section.
But can you get new engineers?
You can get tons of new characters.
Because I believe your crew, like you're kind of running an operation, and your crew flows in and out.
They flow in and out, they
even
die, they
memorialize
upgrade,
them.
you do memorialize
Interesting.
them. Yeah,
Very
lots
cool.
of fun stuff. So I'm going to cover the basic sequencing over there, which I'm going to attempt a roll against this action over here, where I need to get either the pickaxe or that wrench icon. And
this is showing the odds of each one type of our dice?
These are showing your starting dice. You already have 1 more die because you're picking up from where I left off.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab a die. I'm going to grab this one over here, and I'm going to simply roll it. Now, you could roll as many as you want if you so choose. Generally, I have found with... There are times where the consequences matter enough that failure is not worth it.
Okay.
Generally, giving up your dice are one of the things you have to manage.
These are your resources.
They're your resources.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to get them back frequently.
If you run out, are you going to rest or something?
You're going to have to take a rest action and use the supplies, using up one of your supplies in order to get another resource.
You're using the time you have on the planet.
Exactly.
I got you.
So I'm going to go ahead and roll. And done. Now, something I neglected to mention, the reason I picked this die is every single die has different faces on it, indicating the most common face. So the one that has a little square on it, over here, that square, is going to be telling you the most common face of that die, which means I knew that there was a 4 in 6 chance of that die producing the result I wanted.
Oh, I like that iconography, too.
Yeah.
Just the simple... keep it up so you know what is going to be the most likely.
Exactly.
Nice.
And in this case, it's actually 5 of 6 because the Vanguard symbol will always produce whatever result you want. So the only thing I have to really worry about here was actually there 2, so it was 4 of 6. There's the random over here. This is a general catch-all icon used for different things. And then the X, which represents absolute failure no matter what. So I successfully rolled that tools, which means I'm going to put it in my exhausted dice section, and I successfully achieved this. which is going to give me a blue lead. I'm going to draw that, which says, if you have 3 leads of this color, discard them and gain a mineral discovery. So, seeming pretty simple so far. All we need is 3 discoveries. I just got 1/9 of the way there, and that's pretty simple. Done. I will put this off to the side over here, and that is my first action. But I have 2 actions, which means I'm now going to choose, you know what, I will let you do this action over here, so I'm going to choose to do, I'm going to do a movement action down here. So I'm going to move using this point of movement.
Any die allows you to move through that space?
So this icon over here just means you need to get a result of any color, which means any die. Now the catch is, remember that X we talked about?
That's not a result?
It's not a result.
Gotcha.
You ignore X's.
Gotcha.
All X's are ignored, so it's not a guaranteed. But I will say over here...
Do you sacrifice your second action if you fail a move, or do you re-roll?
So over here is where you cover the travel action. At the bottom right corner of each planet you are on, it covers the travel action and tells you what happens on success and what happens on failure. Generally, the planets I've encountered still allow you to move, but with a consequence. But it's going to be covered on that. So, for example, this one over here says you continue to move to the new sector, but that icon is you get rid of a die. So you're going to have to give up an extra die and then draw a hazard card.
Okay.
So if the consequences are giving up an extra die, maybe it's worth it, but the X's are only 1 out of 6.
And a hazard card's negative.
They're bad. Yeah. They're not the end of the world. So I'm going to go ahead and roll another die. In this case, I'm going to choose this icon over here, and I'm just doing some sort of management of keeping a variety of icons for different things that I will encounter. I'm going to roll, and I got not an X, which means I successfully move. That represents my core turn.
Sure.
And from there, I will draw a hazard card. And that's because after the end of your turn, you will draw a hazard card. Again, this is sequence. All this stuff is covered on this Hang Dandy Player Aid. It's literally everything you know, and it's very well done, even prototype phase or whatnot. So I'm going to draw a hazard card, which is going to look at the icons on the top of the card. If the icons at the top of the card, if any of them match the location you're in, you resolve the hazard card. If not, you move all time markers on the planet. And do you think time markers lead to good things in this game?
No.
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, I'm sure they will eventually, but so far, no, not yet. Okay, so I'm going to draw this card. There is a matching icon. There's actually 2 matching icons.
A destructive sandstorm is ravaging the planet. We hope it doesn't cross our paths.
It doesn't say that here. Where's that?
It says it right here.
Oh, that's here. No, we're not doing this. We're doing the hazard.
No, I was just reading. You said that you moved the time thing.
Only if it doesn't match.
No, but there's a bit of flavor text right there.
So just
that indicates why that might not be good.
That's not. Oh, this one tells you. Other times I didn't know until I revealed it.
Nice.
So in this case, malfunction. So this is a malfunction, which means you're immediately going to resolve the roll on this card. So I'm going to resolve the malfunction roll, which means I have to produce either that little compass icon or the tool icon, which fortunately I maintained a tool icon, although it's not the best one. I kind of wish I had my other tool back. But we're going to go with it. Now, you could choose to not roll anything. And in fact, in this case, there's almost the argument to be made because currently this particular die over here has a 2, a 3, it looks like a 3. Yeah, there's 3 chances, a 50-50 chance that I will succeed. So to give up a die to get the 50-50 chance, getting a crystal, which is an upgrade thing for the end of the game, and a yellow lead, or I can potentially discard a supplies. What do I want to risk? And for context, every supplies is going to equal at least 2 cards. Every supplies is going to equal a card plus drawing back 3 different dice. So what I do?
I would probably risk the 50-50 if the supply is worth that much.
Done, and a success.
Awesome.
Boom. You see, I listened to him. I listened to this guy. So the hazard successfully, the hazard successfully resolved. We're going to take one of those purple crystals and put them on our lander, if you don't mind. And then from there, we are going to gain a yellow lead.
Okay.
And that is going to say, if you have 3 leads of this color, discard them and gain a live specimen discovery. So again, we're starting to get towards those discoveries. That has been my turn, and you have a good idea, hopefully, of how to resolve things.
I do. You said I could go ahead and do explore the vents here on this location.
You can. If you see a location that you are on, you can explore it.
If you roll an X result, discard all rolled dice and resolve failure. My objective here is going to be... Now, correct me if I'm wrong. My objective is going to be to get a compass icon.
Sort of. I haven't actually explained this yet. Let's explain that.
Yeah.
So that middle green section is going to be what you need to do to succeed.
I need to roll green, red, and blue?
You need 3 different dice.
I have that.
Yep.
Okay.
And then if you fail, you're going to go to log 31.
We're not going to fail.
And then if you succeed, you are going to have if you get this icon in addition to this, that's a bonus. It's not essential, it's a bonus. It's on top of.
So I need 3 successes of all 3 colors.
You need you need all 3 colors and
no
none of them
X's.
to be X's, and ideally one of them to be at least that
compass.
symbol or the Vanguard symbol, which is always a
Let's
success.
see. Do we have compasses available?
It doesn't look
here?
like you do. Each faction is going to have. So one of the parts of the game we haven't talked about strategically is there's this aspect of spending energy to figure out what planet you're approaching on launch, so you can prepare your correct.
So a
crew.
Vanguard success though could help me.
Yep. And with 3 dice, it's a decent chance.
Here's yours. You
That's
take
mine.
that
Oh yeah,
back.
I have to exhaust that. Thank you. And okay.
With 3 dice, I mean, a great opportunity for you to.
No, it's okay. This is you could have gotten an X. We could have been fine there. So we have
gotten 3 X's.
You don't get the random discovery, which would have been great. That would have been 1/3 of the way towards achieving our goal. But we don't get that. Instead, we're going to get replaced. You're going to complete this, which means you get a crystal. If you want to add a crystal to our lander,
Sure.
And those crystals are going to be used primarily for upgrading. Sometimes you can have upgrades on your lander that make use of those crystals. And then from there, you're going to replace this card with PTO1. So we're going to have PTO1.
Because there's levels to each of these locations, right?
Yes.
Every time you interact with them, there's the potentiality to dig a little bit deeper or discover a little bit more.
Yes.
Cool. This is one of the things that I'm actually the most intrigued by, the way this develops.
I'm going to avoid spoilers. I will say I am far more intrigued with this system having gone through the system. Okay. So we're going to replace this card with PTO1.
Oh, look at that. Bacterial colony, unknown contaminants, caution advise. Could I continue digging now?
So you have 1 more action, so you can do what you want.
I don't have the greens and the blues necessary to dig, though, so...
You could rest for your action.
Rest would spend a cargo.
Would spend a supplies.
I am not going to be able to get green back, though. I need 2 green to interact with this location.
So that's
There's not an
problematic.
opportunity for either of us, honestly, to interact here any farther.
So it looks like we both need to work together. Now, there is the possibility
we can both work together on a location?
So whenever you have a crew member at a location with you, you can give up 1 card, we haven't even talked about cards yet, and 1 die towards that roll.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I will take a rest action then. It's always going to recover 3, right?
Yeah.
So I might as well do it and just reset my actions.
Now now's a good time. Before you do that, you should actually start with 2 cards. If you want to draw 2 cards...
I'd love to draw 2 cards.
You're going to start with 2 cards.
My own personal action cards?
Your own personal action cards. They're going to be different, and you can upgrade your cards as you upgrade your characters to a degree. So these are going to be your cards. You'll see they give you different abilities, often affecting rolls.
Reroll a red, or the muscle is also treated as a compass in this roll. Interesting. So that I might have played that last turn to try to guarantee a compass.
Yeah. You didn't have any muscle either. So
no, I do.
Oh, you did?
I could have rolled a muscle die.
Oh, you could have.
Would have been nice if you taught me all the rules of the game.
It's okay. We're going to be resetting this entirely when we do our actual gameplay.
That's true.
So
I'm already in it though.
Yeah, I know.
Like I forgot there's a how to play.
I know this is how to play. It's that. It really is that simple to get up and moving.
Okay.
And so from there, I mean, ultimately, the details are always going to be the devil's in the details. That's what it's going to come down to.
Of course, he's also in the anonymous zone in the back of my brain that continuously whispers at me in the darkness of night.
Exactly. 100%. This is a weird video. In any case, the reason I had you draw those cards first is when you rest, you're going to do 2 things. You're going to draw another card.
Your side eye made my day. Just...
You're going to draw another card. So add 1 more card to your hand. Now you have a 3rd card. This is how you get more cards.
You may re-roll a danger die.
Those are bad things. Bad things happen there.
So good I can re-roll it.
Yes, excellent. And now from there, you're going to go ahead and exhaust 1 supplies from our ship. So give up 1 supplies. And then
we've got a lot of supplies up there, though.
Well, that's because we skipped the lander phase where your ship will go through all kinds of bumpy stuff and things. And
we might not have as many supplies.
We may not have as many supplies. Okay, so you got your supplies back, you got that, and that represents your turn. From there, you draw a hazard.
Okay. Let's see here. Looking for the iconography at the top. This does have it. Thieving creature. I can roll, and I'm looking to roll. I'm looking for...
Oh, we're in trouble.
Why?
Because we don't have that symbol. You'd have to hope for a Vanguard.
I don't have that symbol.
So now the question you're facing is, do you give up 1 of your dice, hoping for that 1 in 6 chance?
Yeah.
Or do you just say, screw it, I'll take the result?
We're going to roll.
With this guy's track record, too.
This might be why I have this track record.
For what it's worth, this isn't any worse than the alternative.
It's funnier, though.
Now, 1 second. Let's actually go ahead and look at your cards. Do any of your cards help you with this?
Any of my cards help me with this. You may re-roll a danger die. Muscle is treated as a compass. Re-roll 1 red.
No, you're going to have to give up the card.
Yeah, exactly. So I can spend this card immediately at any point?
Yes, you can.
It just goes into a discard pile?
It goes to the discard pile, yep.
Okay, so, and then...
It was... No, that's not... Now you just... These dice are clearly broken. Oh, there we go.
Oh!
On the 4th try, still above average.
But just let's pretend like I didn't actually succeed here.
Yeah.
And let's do the consequence of what would happen.
Well, the consequence of this one is pretty simple.
For teaching sakes.
Of course. Not because you actually failed.
No.
In any case, from there we're going to go to discard 1 supplies or 1 personal equipment. We haven't talked about equipment. We're going to save that. It's just another thing to deal with, but not in any way problematic. So go ahead and discard our supplies. Now you just cost us 3 dice with your abysmal failure, but in fact you actually cost us a 4th dice and a card because you're an optimist. Yeah, that is basically going to be the sequences here. Now, the question I would ask you, is there anything else here that isn't clear to you?
So, I don't think so. Digging into each location will get more and more complicated. Of course, the time mechanic will resolve itself as we're reading and going through that, right? Because that's just a consequence of staying out too long or something. At what point and how do we retreat from this location?
So what we're going to do is once we get our 3 discoveries for the sake of this mission, we will all be retreating back to the material colony, at which point this is the lander location. I'm realizing now I actually did not enter the game at the lander location. This is the lander location.
Well.
That's just because all the other locations I entered were actually there. So you'd actually retreat back to the fractured plane, and then from there you would go back to your lander.
And moving into this board, the locations that just say log 25, do we populate those when we move there, or do we skip those to move farther in?
No, so this one over here, there's currently nothing, which I'm assuming something will show up there.
Okay.
Through the use of some sort of story or event. But what happens is, one of the things we haven't talked about yet is whenever you see read a log 25, or a failure over here, go to log 31, a failure over here is log 31. Whenever that happens, you will either, using the app or your actual physical log, you will pull up whatever that log says, which will have much more flavor text, much more story, often decisions, sometimes consequences.
And I believe like full narrated moments.
Full narrated moments, 100%.
Okay.
And that's basically going to be what this whole phase looks like. You will rinse and repeat until you are done accomplishing a mission. There's a few other things we didn't especially talk about. Each of us have a unique ability. You can spend a charge to not roll any injury dice in this roll.
Okay.
Something we didn't talk about is the idea that your character can become injured.
Yeah.
They would draw an injury. Well, they draw a specific injury. They're not random. You would put it next to your character card.
Okay.
You would gain an injury die that you would roll in every single roll, and it would have a negative effect. Now, the critical wound is actually one of the worst ones, so ignore that one. But they will have negative effects. They basically represent the fact that you're incapacitated and you're still trying to lift heavy objects or whatever it is.
You're broken a little bit.
Yeah, you're broken a little bit. In any case, so that is basically ultimately how you play the main phase of this game. It's going to be a heavily focused on the narrative aspect. There definitely are choices to be made. Most of those choices in this game come down to knowing when to push it, how far to push it, when to split up, when to stay together, how to manage your resources. That is ultimately what the game is going to be, combined with abilities, and then upgrading and buying more stuff and getting more stuff. We haven't even touched upon the equipment. Lots of fun there. And at that, unless you have any questions, I think we can go to the ship phase.
Let's go to the ship phase.
Wait,
how do I get out of here?
How do you get out of
here? We just come back and we say, we're done?
When you're done, well, good question. So let's move these out of the way just so we have the book presentation over here. But when you're ready, you grab the ship book and it will tell you exactly how to get out of here. So we're going to move this over here. Well, actually, technically, we would have left it there, which we'll explain why in a second. But now we get to the ship phase. The ship phase is going to guide you through everything you need to know in order to do whatever. Now, I've timed myself from the very first time I went through this. I read the rules and whatnot, but then I went through this the first time, and it took me, if I recall correctly, it took me 54 minutes. The second time, doing far more stuff, took me 45 minutes. The third time hasn't yet happened. So this will, and from what I understand from Awakened Realms, you can expect this to progressively get faster. They say it takes roughly half an hour. I have no problem believing that. This is, and again, most of it, the stuff that matters is the stuff that takes time. The stuff that is easy and maintenance and saving in between is 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So going through it, it's going to guide you. It gives you a whole bunch of terms here. You can read this. This is practically half rulebook, half whatever. So this is arrival. This represents your lander is now arriving back on the ship. From there, we're going to have all these cards that are being dealt with. I'm not actually going to grab them out because I'm going to skip these. This represents the fact that for streamlining, what they do is as you unlock cards that you've already passed their phase, you just tuck them off to the side and they'll go into awaiting arrival for your next ship phase. It prevents rubber banding back and forth between different phases and making the game cluttered and annoying, basically.
You deal with that the moment you're starting a ship phase.
Now, if you read up here, it's going to have your main text and then your full rules. This is your rule book. This is your reminder. So, for instance, I'm just going to focus on the reminder. Clean up unneeded cards and markers. So that's going to tell you
what type of stuff do we find in there.
In where? In here?
In this awaiting cards pile.
Things that have been unlocked through the course of the ship phase. So, for instance, like one of the things we'll deal with is the process of research projects. So, I actually unlocked a research project, but I unlocked it after the research phase. So, instead of having you go back and forth, because in the research phase you can then unlock something back again, you can keep having an infinite loop to a degree, and to avoid that, they have all those things go out to the side, and then they come in at the end.
I got you.
Cool. So from there, we're going to go to this step over here, clean up unneeded cards and markers, reveal the awaiting ship cards, place and resolve ship situations, advance crew members. That's what you're doing here. Full rules are down here. Unneeded cards are exactly what they sound like. They're going to be cards we don't need. So let me give an example would be leads are all discovered, discoveries are not. Sorry, all leads are all discarded, discoveries are kept.
Okay.
So they have all that text over here. In case you forget, return all hazards, leads, event cards, mission cards, supply cards. They tell you exactly what to do with each of these things. But I already know what to do because I've done this twice, so I know what gets discarded.
No need to brag.
Exactly. Twice is more than enough. So from there, we're going to resolve any
you're
ship
one of like
situations.
30 people who've played this game.
30? Is it that high? Oh, I guess including Awakened Realms. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So, and then from there, we're going to resolve active situations. Okay. This is going to be the concept that as the game progresses, you're going to have different things that are situations. People are homesick. People are frustrated. Your engines jam. And with the way the game actually works...
I like that. Can people be homesick and frustrated?
Well, literally the first card they give you as a tutorial card is homesick.
I love that.
Yes,
that's so cool.
It's true. So, most of these are actually going to develop later on in the ship phase where they can potentially become problems.
Okay.
If you don't deal with them when they are becoming problems, then you will have an active situation.
But this is like you're walking through the doors, you're getting cleansed off, and you hear an intercom go, brr, brr, little audio message from your captain that's like, Susan's been grumbling all day about how she misses the corn on the cob back where her grandfather grew up.
Think about it less like you're walking through the doors and more like you're traveling between systems. You're literally traveling between interstellar systems. So
but this one here,
it's the first thing that happens.
Is like the intercom.
Sure. I'm cool.
Let me have my thing.
Flavor text. So there you would resolve any active situations. Now, to be clear, this one for me so far, I've been skipping past mostly because they've had very little stuff going on there. But that would be a decision process of how to spend your various resources.
I'm getting so excited.
It's pretty solid.
I walked into this. I knew the premise, nothing more. I'm getting so excited.
And again, I want to be very clear to anyone watching this. I literally opened this ship book and thought to myself, this is not going to be a favorable review. And this is not a review. This is a gameplay. I'll let you see my opinion later. In any case, moving on, or earlier, depending on which goes up first.
Wow.
In any case. So, then you go to the debriefing, okay? This is going to be dividing your crew duties or bidding for them. Now, this is a phase they specifically put in primarily for the fact that people may not always agree what to do. You, with your security section, and me with my engineering section, may have differences of opinions of how to spend our resources doing the rest of the ship phase. So they actually have a division of how to assign those things to different characters, and then what you can do.
So I might get final call on one aspect of the game, and whereas you may be like, I really want this to work on behalf of my squad. Okay.
So for me, honestly, I've been playing this solo, so I'm skipping it, and I've been mostly skipping this.
That is always a collaborative process for me.
Correct. 100%. I agree. To the point that I asked them if this is necessary, and they said that for some play groups it has been, and that's why it's here. But you can go through it, assign the roles, and move on pretty quickly. From there, we move to the unloading procedure. Again, quick rules, full rules. Unloading is going to be place unique discoveries in slots, gain bonuses if unlocked. So hypothetically, had we unlocked a discovery of any kind, we would be taking it and putting it either in the unique discovery or on the other side in a non-unique discovery. Some of these cards will say things like, when you slot this, gain a benefit of some sort. So for instance, I've successfully had that. This one over here, when you slot this card, gain the reinforced hull ship upgrade project.
Because you found a little bit of space debris and material and
I
have made
it
an
into
advancement.
Yeah,
I like
100%.
it.
So this is the
or
unloading
at least like
procedure.
A spray that you're putting on your
exactly.
hull.
Little decals, some what are those things
Not
called?
Not a decal, like a gloss
I know. I'm being annoying.
Let me play my game.
So this is the unloading phase of
Do we still have to do the how to play? Is it over yet?
No, it's almost there. We're going through this.
Well, I guess they're still watching.
They're still watching. Well, maybe. Are they? Who knows? Procedure. Procedure is going to be save all cards left on the planet board, close and store Planetopia. So this is specifically for the idea that whenever you retreat from a planet, you may choose to go back to that planet. And to that end, these things are no longer off in some secretive deck. Instead, they are over here, represented in one of these cards. Each card is its own planet with the cards from its sector stored in that specific sector.
Okay.
Yep. Again, that's maintenance, but again, it takes 2 seconds. Then move from there to the Medbay. The Medbay is resolved by everyone. Something I haven't touched upon yet is some things are resolved by everyone, some things are resolved by a specific section. So move crew members in Medbay to the left and retrieve cured crew members. Place wounded crew members in Medbay, critically wounded, roll for survival. So the idea over here is that
slowly progressing.
They are progressing. So I, for instance, had 2 lightly injured people for my last mission and 1 moderately injured. My lightly people would move out and then go out of the ship book. My moderately injured would move down to light. Anyone in critical has to perform a survival check. So anyone who has 3 injuries they've achieved this mission, if you've achieved 1, 2, or 3, that's the slot you go in.
Risking their life. Now, do they immediately become incapacitated in the mission if they get 3 injuries?
I actually don't know offhand because I actually haven't gotten 3 injuries yet.
Well, let's not do that.
I think it's if you get your 4th, but I could be mistaken there. But anyways, you go over here and you go to the critical injuries phase. Remember, by the way, this is a how to play for a game that is actually not yet finished. So
how to play for a prototype with a few scenarios potentially. So
exactly.
By the time the official copy gets into your hands, all rules and things will potentially, which is another reason why we're not doing specifics. Yes. We're going, people are hungry for what this is.
Yep. We want you to know. We want you to know.
We'll give you.
Yeah. If you want a real how to play, go to John Gets Games or any number of other people who are
there's
amazing.
So many that do it better than Alex.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay, Memorial Wall.
Like I just said you there.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I agree.
That out.
I agree. Memorial Wall. This is where you're going to deal with anyone who died. Okay, the first time people in each section die, there is going to be a benefit, which is kind of twisted in a way. You kind of want them to die. I have not successfully lost anyone yet, so I am moving on from there. This is a quick save section, only relevant for when you're interrupting a mission to do something else. We're going to ignore the quick save because I haven't been interrupting the mission to do anything else. From there, we go to the bridge. Choose your next destination and allocate available energy. So this is where we're going to deal with our systems. So we have our visited systems over here, our current system over here. We're going to roll the ship die, that's going to be this over here, and we're going to add the result, which is going to be 2 energy points, to our generators, which is 3 energy points, which means we now have 5 energy points to spend. Don't actually mess with the dial because we're actually in the middle of a campaign here, but in theory, you would mess with the dial and adjust it to 5, at which point we now have 5 energy to spend on a variety of things. The most important of those things, because you do not want to be adrift in space, is you're going to spend those energy to potentially navigate to new systems. I can spend 2 energy to move to system D, 3 energy to move to system E, or spend the energy shown on each of these things to take the interaction there. So for example, I can pay an energy to give up 1 science point and gain a microorganism. Science points can be over here, microorganisms are going to be in one of those discoveries. So these are all these options of how to manage your resources you'll be taking. You do not always want to give up all your energy because one of the things we talked about already briefly is the idea that when you are landing on the next planet, you have this option to spend energy to prep and see what's coming, see what type of rolls. We already saw in our sample, your guy was not that helpful on our current planet.
Hey now.
Yeah, just saying. So from there, if you draw a new planetary system, you'll slot it into your current system, you'll move your current system to your old system, and you'll have multiple systems in here, and that's what you're doing. This is the point where you are on your star bridge, you are looking out into space, you are charting where to go, and spending your energy.
Set course for GYF2.
I want to say, if you do that, we probably should rename it, because set course for GYF2 is not the most inspiring thing we've seen. From there, we're going to go to the ship upgrade phase.
Set course for the astronomical fuzzy kitten.
That is far cooler.
I believe that's an official name of at least one planet in this. Yeah.
From there, we moved, and we're still in the ship phase. We're still in that bridge. We have our energy to spend. Now we look at our ship upgrades to deal with what we can do here. So early in the game, I installed improved solar panels, which increase my generators, which give us continuous energy, which is awesome.
Nice.
But you could, right now we could, if we had energy, we could install our advanced star map, which utilizing calculations performed by the builders, it will make our travels between the systems more efficient. Now these upgrades, one of my favorite things about this game, most of the upgrades in this game give you hint through flavor text about what they do. They do not tell you what they do, and you are not allowed to look at the card. So I have no idea what this does, but it's something to do with making our travels between systems more efficient.
Yeah, so you're walking up to the mechanic, and he's like, well, if I pull the green wire here and connect it to the other inverse reciprocity in the back end of the, and you're like, I don't understand.
I don't care.
Is this gonna make is this gonna make us get to our place quicker? He's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So that is going to be the ship upgrade phase. You can spend energy. Again, remember, you need energy for a variety of things. That's just one. And then we're going to go to the situation room. The situation room is the first of these things that's resolved by a specific faction, security. They have the judgment call. Exactly.
Move slotted situation cards to the left.
Yep. So I have a food shortage situation that has been slowly developing. Now, when it first appears, when they first appear, and they will have some that first appear here, they go to this rightmost column where they are easier to deal with. as they move up that column, they cost more and more response points to deal with in, which basically makes sense. The longer you let people be hungry, for instance, the harder it's going to be to appease them when it's, problematic.
Let them starve.
Now, these are the things that will eventually turn into those ship situations we talked about earlier.
Oh, cool.
The active situations, yes.
Okay.
Basically, these situations have a response point that you need to spend, as well as a cost. So, for instance, in this case, we could repair the machines, which will lower our production, but we'll put this card back in. And right now, this would cost us 2 points because I let it escalate already. If it eventually gets to the end, it becomes an active situation. And again, I have no clue what happens on the other side.
And you have to deal with it.
I have to deal with it.
By that point. Because it's in your face.
It's a problem.
Place a new situation card in the slot.
So this is the point where we would potentially put out at least one, but potentially more depending on morale, into new slots.
Roll your red and green dice, count the wild results or the Vanguard results, and add morale attribute to determine the number of your response points.
Yes, so you can see over there we currently have 2 response points left.
Okay.
What we would do is we would roll, in fact you have them all right here, so go ahead and roll your green and red dice. And you would add, that's a pretty solid roll.
It's a good roll.
So he has 2 plus his morale, so 3. So that gives you 3 plus the existing 2. You have 5 response points to spend on, well, this situation plus the 2 that had previously developed. So you're going to have response points as a currency, and you're going to spend them on developing situations to deal with them.
And as this gets bigger and scales, those points become valuable. How I upgrade myself becomes interesting.
Yes.
Cool.
All these things going on. You're dealing with stuff on the ship. This is not purely like, oh, this is a save game. This is not that. These are decisions to be had, and the decisions have been fun. I have been dealing with the situations as they appeared. I have made choices. I have basically resigned myself, and now you apparently, to the fact that this food shortage is going to become a situation that we have to deal with at some point.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen. Let them starve.
Whoa.
What?
I mean, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't going to say it. From there we go to the research laboratory. The research laboratory is resolved by science. And again, these next sections are going to cover similar things just in different compartments of the ship. So the research laboratory is make a ship die roll to check one chosen project for breakthrough. So you're going to potentially roll the ship die to see if any of these we can get a breakthrough on, and this would only be on Vanguard. So it's a 2 in 10 shot, which Vanguard, boom, instant breakthrough on one of these. That's the first time I got that, by the way.
Realize it's during the non-actual game.
We're not actually doing anything. So that would be a breakthrough. That's the idea that sometimes you just get lucky, and obviously it's going to be doing the teach and not the actual play. So we would immediately flip any one of these projects to its research side. From there, you're going to roll your green and blue dice for the research. For the science section only, is going to roll the green and blue, count the Vanguard, add their research points, and spend those on your projects to get more things.
Okay.
So these are, again, just different things. So, for example, I have completed multiple research projects that unlocked new equipment for our various factions to deal with. We haven't talked about equipment. We'll deal with it in the playthrough. So, that is going to be the research station. Again, these are choices to make. These are limited points that you spend. These are resources. This is not a save book. This is a game. From there, we move to the engineering. Procedure. Move your production projects in queues to the left. So engineering, you're going to similarly have queues similar to the Medbay, but this time for, well, good things. I mean, I guess both are good things. You're going to have projects that you can start in this phase. You're going to slot them in various things, and at this point, they would shift over. So these projects that I have started, this one right now would come out and shift and be done. And I would have improved Vanguard systems, which again, I don't know what that is. All I know is our long trek to the Eye of the Void and our first mission gave us many ideas on how to improve our new home. So again,
cupcakes. It's a cupcake recipe.
Cupcakes. That's what I thought. That's what I did not think at all. So that is going to be over here. Similar idea. You're going to be adding your production attribute over here. You're going to be rolling the dice of that section, adding the Vanguard results, and then spending those manufacturing points on both new projects and potentially boosting, accelerating the production of projects. Right now, I will say production queue 2 requires an upgrade. I can't actually put stuff in the second queue. I can only put things in one queue. Done with that one?
Yeah.
Great. From there we move to the hangar. The hangar is going to be resolved by the recon section. You're going to store your lander. This lander over here that has been sitting off to the side will now get put back into one of our hangar bays. Oh, we have 2 hangar bays over here. And then you're going to roll your red and green dice, counting the results, add the production attributes. So the assembly and the production are both being, and assembly and the manufacturing both use that one mini dial. The rest of them all have their own dial. Then you're going to spend your action points to place ship and mod blueprints parts in the bays. The idea over here is similar to everything else we've been doing. There are various blueprints that we can spend our points on to potentially unlock. So for example, this is how I actually unlocked the Pelican. I had to collect 3 different blueprints, spending 3 different points on them, putting them over here, rolling a die to successfully get it, which I did again. Although this one is not purely Vanguard, this can be Vanguard or that little other face over there. And then once I do that, I get the unlock and I move those to our actual blueprints, which will represent ship modifications, new landers, and who knows what else as things get discovered. So again, more stuff, more upgrading, more unlocking, all that. From there, we're going to go to our barracks phase, which is resolved by the recruitment officer. Sorry, everyone and the recruitment officer. So over here, when your mission is done, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to take all the people that were on the mission and they are going to be resting. So they're going to be resting over here, over here, you can put them down there. This is my person for the prior mission. Additionally, anyone who came out of Medbay this round earlier in the sequence gets put into resting. So they still have to be resting. They still need to turn off. After that, this is where we're going to draft new crew members. We're going to draw new crew members, and you will either draft those crew members to your section, or potentially you can skip the draft to instead add a die to your section. Now that might sound powerful, but at the end of the day, that means you're starting with more dice, but the supplies are still limited to 3 dice back.
Sure.
Yep. And then from there, after the last thing you're going to do over here...
Where it could be really valuable is getting other colors.
Other colors, 100%. It gives you more flexibility and variability. Past that, you're going to move your crew members, any crew members in your section box, because at this point, your security section might have 3 or 4 crew members. Some of them are in the medbay, some of them are resting. You might have 2 in your faction box. You can choose to move any one of them, or multiple of them, to various spots in here to get different benefits. Extra science points, performing a rank up, getting additional, +1 to the ship attribute.
Yep.
So these are basically putting your crew to work on sections of the ship, even as the rest of you are going down to the next planet. With me so far? Mm-hmm. And this is basically it. From there, we move to the mission procedures. We're going to go to the mission launch procedure, where we're going to... This is the only part where you have a bigger section of text, but again, you can mostly skip it once you know it. You're going to review the planetary information card. That is the idea that in this card over here... Sorry, wrong side. You can choose to spend energy at this point to potentially spend additional 1, 2, or 3 energy to find out as much as you need about the planet that you're about to discover.
How does it tell you?
Well, once you decide how much you're spending, you would, and spoilers, you would flip and see that much.
So cool.
Yes.
So cool. Such a simple system.
Yep.
Sliding card. Spend energy, go up. You get to see as much of the card as you're willing to buy.
You'll get to see that these are the roles that are going to be frequent.
I'm just saying, I love that it's like, do you want it all? Because it's all there.
So my problem that I've consistently had is I get so excited about the energy that I'm spending doing the earlier phases that I get to this phase and I'm like,
no.
I forgot to spend energy.
We're going to the blue one.
Going to the blue one. Yeah. This is exactly it. And it's important. It's so important. I just keep forgetting. From there, you're going to choose and prepare the away team, which is choose the specific crew members. Man, this is the important. That order is important because you might know which dice you need.
Is the team that's going out always one security bastion, one engineering crew member?
So you can choose however many different sections you want, but it's only going to be one person from each crew member.
That's what I was asking. Yeah, so you're going out with a team. It's a squad of people.
Yeah, a squad of people. Then you go to the choose and prepare the away team. You're going to select any equipment, which will be you'll have a limit to how much equipment you actually have in your lander. You prepare your action decks, which is the idea that you have different action decks. You need a minimum of 10 cards, but as your characters upgrade, you unlock access to different cards.
So there's a little bit of deck construction.
A little bit of deck construction.
How much do you think?
So I haven't overly delved into that yet because I haven't really had upgraded characters. I only had one upgraded character. There's enough that it gives you choices, but so far what I've seen hasn't been. I wouldn't consider this a deck building game.
Would you say Tainted Grail-esque, where you haven't played yet? So in Tainted Grail, you have a big deck of potential character cards, but you're progressing by upgrading 1 or 2 at a time, and then you're continuing to develop and go and cycle that.
Okay.
So you're never sitting down with 100 or 200 cards and trying to figure out the solution, which I don't enjoy.
Yep.
You're instead, this develops as you play, and you might hot swap 2 or 3 things based on the scenario you're going after.
So when you upgrade a character, you're going to unlock a whole host of new cards for that character's tree, but the whole host is limited. Like you'll go from having 10 possible cards to 20 possible cards.
That sounds familiar to Tainted Grail to me.
Then you build your deck how you want. Obviously, you want to choose the best cards because you want a higher chance of drawing the cards that are good for you.
Not quite the same in terms of progression, but in terms of not being overwhelming, it sounds responsible.
Yep. And that's going to be obviously more impacted by what you found out over here. We'll let you build your deck because that happens after. Then you're going to load the supplies, which is your main resource of actually surviving. And then you're going to strap in and go through a lander phase where you'll read a specific log that is listed on the planet card that you're about to land on.
A log?
A log. Read log 35.
Fancy.
From there, you land on the planet board, you start your mission, and we go full circle. Rinse and repeat, upgrade, explore, develop. This is an interesting game.
I'm excited.
You should be excited.
I'm so excited. So for context for me, in games that are big campaign games that scale, there's always usually a comfortable point where I save and start up again. Where do you see that being here? Is it somewhere in the middle of this logbook? Is it right before you land on a planet?
So I've been recording exactly how long each game took me for that context. I want to understand, because one of my problems with Seventh Continent, for example, is the fact that Seventh Continent, even though they have a beautiful save system, your actual explorations are like 7 hours, 10 hours. Leaving that on the table is hard, and so I don't like saving systems. I don't like it. So they have a quick save system here. What I've found so far is I've gone through the tutorial mission, which is 40 minutes so far. I've gone through the first ship phase, which, as I said, was 54 minutes. I went through the second full mission, which is a lot of stuff happens there. A lot of stuff happens in that mission. Not going to spoil it, but that was around 2.5 hours. And then the second ship phase was 45 minutes, which means for me, the way I would approach this game is a full session of this game seems to come in at around 3 hours. And it's worth noting, they're still looking at different things in terms of streamlining. So, like, for instance, those dice rolling in between phases, I know a lot of people were concerned about that. While it didn't bother me, I don't think it added to the gameplay for me either.
So maybe that's something they're still refining.
And they talked about specifically, they are looking into it. They might adjust it, because it's not, again, it didn't get in the way, it was just an extra thing to do.
We're going to see another, probably 6 months, 8 months of development on this before
100%.
they hit print, right?
100%.
So.
And they plan on listening to the community, they plan on talking to the various people who have the
Awaken
game.
Realms?
Awaken Realms.
I think the community literally chose the box cover.
They did, yes.
Like,
they did.
Against what some of the people in Awaken Realms really felt like the box cover should be.
I wanted the other one.
Did you?
I wanted the white one.
I did as well. That's all right. I'm happy with how it is.
Whatever.
There was a red one that was really striking.
I didn't see a red one.
Yeah, there was with the V split in the center and the artwork there.
Did not see it.
Yeah, there's been some good ones. There's been some good ones.
Yep. And that basically is how you play in 2 phases. Make sure, by the way, there will be gameplay content on both of these sections.
Yes.
There will be a full planetary.
Mine will be the Planetary over on Quackalope.
Yep. And I will have the ship phase book over on Board Game Co.
Where we're letting people starve.
Yes, and primarily because I think it fits. Both because you have the narrative aspect of the real exploration. Yeah. I have the more decision and how to allocate resources. Both those are already in tune. and then additionally,
I didn't know how much it fit till you said it right there.
The ship phase comes in at around, like I said, 30 to 45 minutes, and the planetary exploration phase is around 2 hours, and your content tends to be longer than mine. So in both cases, it really just aligns. Yeah. And that is basically everything. Which means we have to figure out how to join this off or split this off. But remember to do the important thing and watch both our videos. Does that work? Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good one.